With the state of Florida almost completely surrounded by water, our seaports are major economic drivers. How are they expanding and diversifying as the economy rebounds?
If you look at the very strong manufacturing areas around the country and around the world, they start with very strong seaports.
We'll talk with Port Canaveral's CEO, John Walsh, next on Metro Center Outlook. Hello, I'm Diane Trees. Whether it's cruise ships, cargo, or simply recreational activities, our ports play a major role in Florida's economic well-being. Joining us today is John Walsh, the Chief Executive Officer of Port Canaveral. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Governor Scott has invested some $400 million in the Florida seaports over the last 3 years. Why is that so important to Florida's economy?
Well, one of the key things that the governor realized is in order to help diversify Florida away from tourism, and no one has said that tourism remains very important to the economy, but we needed to have a much more diverse base. And what seaports contribute is the ability to move goods in and out. It's important as the world manufacturing moves around, always looking for new opportunities. A lot of companies are bringing manufacturing back on shore here to the United States. And it doesn't mean that they're going to go back to where they previously were. They may have been in the Rust Belt, the Midwest because of an old railroad model. They now have choice, and Florida offers a lot of very positive opportunities in both tech space as well as quality of life. And so if we have good transportation, import, export, we're able to get products in and out of the region, that creates a strong distribution model. We are a consumer state. We don't manufacture a lot right now. So it lets us start by serving our consumer base with Florida jobs, and Florida manufacturing can then follow, come into place if you have strong distribution. We're seeing it starting to happen in the Space Coast and the I-4 corridor. So it really creates a intermodal network. And if you look at the very strong manufacturing areas around the country and around the world, they start with very strong seaports. So we applaud the governor in starting in that position.
I'm hearing the word intermodal quite a bit now.
Yes.
I was reading an article, and I was surprised it said that a lot of our cargo ships leave ports empty. So this is a great opportunity, I would think, for Florida businesses to capitalize on beefing up their exports, if possible.
It is. It's a very strong opportunity. I mean, they love to be able to be full going both ways. So by having Florida products and companies exported, the Caribbean is a strong set of import. The growth in South America, the growth of the African continent, the growth in Latin America, all give us opportunity to be able to export our products into those growing markets. And not only just Florida products, but also because we can be connected via rail and via truck into a lot of the Southeast manufacturing, it can be very economical to bring product in, and then the trucks that are moving to and from ports can also then be hauling containers both ways, what's known as a backhaul. So it brings economy to that whole logistics model.
Well, you've been describing, and tell us a little bit more about the seaport effect. It's such a vast influence. Can you give us a picture of that?
Well, it is. Some people think of seaports, but in Central Florida we have no natural rock. So a lot of the building materials, the lime rock, the granite that our roads and concrete, the lumber that our homes are built with, all needs to come through seaports. About 80% of the products that we touch, consumer products in this country, touch a seaport. Some are coming from California, they're coming all the way across the country. A lot of our food supplies are coming into Philadelphia and Wilmington just because it was one of those older models. and then it's being trucked down 95. So if you think of where food is being grown now, Latin America and South America, it's passing Florida. It's going all the way up to the Mid-Atlantic region. It's going on a truck and coming down. So our groceries are 4 or 5 days older by the
Makes no
time they
sense.
get to us.
Right.
Makes no sense. So by strategically having good seaports, and Florida has 15 different seaports, 5 or 6 very large models, some very small models, you can get goods closer to where they need to be and then save a lot of trucking costs, which then reduces the ozone impact of, it makes more green product, but it also brings jobs right here to Florida for all of the people that need to touch those goods.
Talk about the concept of an inland port, and what does that mean in terms of relationships to seaports then?
Well, what it does is it gets the hub closer, and I talked about that backhaul with trucks. So let's say the Polk County area has a lot of warehouse and distribution area, or Orange County has certain belts, Seminole County. It allows product to have what's known as an inland port, which is really just a distribution center. Goods come off of the ship, they get trucked to that inland port. The manufacturers or distributors who want to export a product deliver very close to where their business is, and then that product is backhauled with that truck, so it reduces the overall cost. So from where Port Canaveral is located, we could have something around the airport in Orange County. That also creates a whole air freight model. Something in the I-4 corridor of distribution closer down towards Lakeland, up in the Ocala market, maybe something in Seminole County and Volusia, so that then those points of distribution bring a lot of economy to moving our product. And the only thing sometimes that is the variable of cost to us as consumers is what's the transportation cost of that product. So if we can hold transportation costs down, then that helps our consumer goods and stores be less expensive.
There's quite a ripple effect with that, and as you were saying then, with the inland ports, it's not just the success of the seaports, it's for all of Florida to be a part of this.
It is. So for our communities and our counties to be able to be good targets for the distribution companies. A classic example is Trader Joe's just recently announced they're going to come to Volusia County. Well, Volusia County does not have a seaport. So that allows the products that need to be distributed out of that 750,000 square foot warehouse to come into a port like Port Canaveral or Jacksonville to the north. It gives choice to that company where their products can come in. It allows Florida ports to serve them as they distribute goods and they start building retail stores in our area. And the same thing with companies that want to export product. This is a great place to live, as we all know as Central Floridians. So if it becomes a great place to work and be diversified, we have a great airport, which is good support for a business. We have a great quality of life. We have a good business tax model. If we have good logistics and movement of goods, that's sort of the final piece of the puzzle, and it allows a manufacturer to say, you know what, let's look at Florida. Florida will be a good place to put that new plant we want to open. That creates jobs. That then drives consumers into buying homes, buying cars, buying goods. In our world, perfect world, they can afford to take a cruise, so it comes back to Port Canaveral a second time.
Now you're talking about the 15 seaports, and what you're saying is more of a unified front. How do you collaborate with 15 seaports around a peninsula the way that we have Florida?
First of all, it starts with a very strong FDOT. Our Secretary of Transportation and FDOT, sits with the Florida Port Council, and it's what is best for Florida overall. So we put some of our individual needs and wants aside, and we say, what ways can we work together? We have some common challenges in deepening harbors, working with the Army Corps of Engineers, making sure we are all very environmental friendly and good stewards of the assets that we have. And then we actually sit, and when there are grants available through the FSTED program or the SIS program, we sit and see whose priorities need to be met, so that if Port Canaveral has a particular project, we do a request, and then the Florida Port Council, as a group of our 15 ports, sits and tries to prioritize what projects return the best return on investment to the people of Florida to make that a worthy investment. And then if someone is very close to a project and they've fallen short, the other port directors will say, you know what, okay, I could do with a little less. I'll defer mine until next year, and I'll help that port in Manatee or out in the Panhandle, because we all matter. We're all Floridians, and it's how we work together in those common interests. And rather than compete head to head with each other, it's how we can complement each other. And there is some competition, but it's a very friendly competition. If we get struck by a hurricane, it's how can we help them through that period. We'll accept their ships. We'll make sure that passengers get to the airport. We had one of those incidents last year where Tampa had a storm. Their ships were diverted into Port Canaveral, and we worked with the folks from the Tampa port to make sure people can get to the airport, get home, stand united, as you said, not divided.
Well, and you mentioned about the different depths. I know that Port Miami is the only port south of Norfolk, Virginia, I believe, that's going to have that 50-foot depth.
That's correct.
For the bigger cargo ships coming
Right.
in. Do you think that will help direct more traffic and business to the other ports in Florida?
Yeah, there's a couple things that's happening there. First of all, the Florida East Coast Railroad has re-energized the rail line directly into that port. And depth is very important as the Panama Canal deepens. The shipping industry has changed in a number of ways. Their ships are larger, they're moving slower, it's called slow steaming, so they use less fuel. But when they get to the port, they want to get unloaded quick and get back out to sea. They don't make money sitting at a dock. So what South Florida offers with both Port of Miami and Everglades is trying to get deeper as well, is those large ships can come in, and then what's called transshipment can happen. So that ship can put off all its goods potentially that are coming to Florida, and then a small ship, an older generation ship, could then load goods and go up the coast. So that would be a U.S. flagship.
Right.
That's happening offshore right now. So a lot of that's happening in Jamaica or the Bahamas or other regions. So that's a lost opportunity for us as Floridians.
Right.
We're working on a harbor deepening to be 55 feet. Port Canaveral has unique geology. We have a very soft bottom. We don't have coral reefs here in the Central Florida area.
You have a clay soil bottom, I believe.
Yeah, it's a very soft clay bottom, so it would allow us to become a 55-foot deep port conceptually. It'll be a long 3-4 year study, put economics with that and make it work. But other Florida ports that are called an older model are further upriver. It takes a long time to get up those rivers, and it's very expensive to dredge those deep. But that doesn't mean they can't be very strong in other models. For instance, auto ships are not as deep draft. So if those markets can go after those products and markets, it's what can work for all of us as a state.
Well, let's talk a little bit more specifically now about Port Canaveral. You are in the midst of a major capital campaign. I believe it's almost $600 million. What are your financing plans for that?
It's a mix. Actually, our commission approved, and we look project by project. So first of all, the port generates income. We have the right to tax the Port District, which is about the northern 2/3 of Brevard County. We have not taxed since 1986, so the port is fully self-sufficient, except for some of the capital grants we get through the state and federal government. So we don't tax the region. We generate about $35 million of what I'll call free cash flow, adding back in depreciation. So we use cash that we earn through our services to reinvest in ourselves. There are no shareholders, there's no profits being distributed. So we reinvest in our facilities. The cruise terminal that we're building, Royal Caribbean has come to the table, and they're going to do a special added CapEx fee or passenger fee that will help us with the capital costs. So it's a very creative public-private partnership. And then we're issuing debt for $105 million of bonds to one of the local banks who's going to refinance at a very beneficial interest rate to us, is a 3.36%. And so it's a combination of our own cash, grants that FDOT and the governor have put up, as well as the revenue sources that we have as the port, and then traditional debt. So we try to be very conservative. We have very good, strong debt service ratios. And then each of the projects are evaluated on a standalone plan like a business. Even though we're a government entity, we function like a business. And so we have to have revenue to go with that debt model so that we can move forward and serve our community. We never want to be a burden to our own community. So we look for a return on investment, partnerships. Our tenants do a lot of co-investment into the port facilities. So, you know, we couple that with the private sector coming in. Our fuel terminal was private investment from a large Dutch marine fuels and import-export company, Seaport Canaveral and Vitol. Hanson Materials is in the port doing aggregates, Martin Marietta Materials, Morton Salt, household names.
Quite a group.
Yeah, so it's a who's who in the industry. We have a long partnership with Disney and the cruise line, and Disney pays a capital partnership too. Let's talk about that,
because I think a lot of people still have that image of Port Canaveral as a cruise destination only. That's a great reputation, but you have so much more. What are some of your other lines of business?
Well, as I said, a lot of the aggregates that come into Central Florida. So we bring in lime rock, we bring in granite, lumber, newsprint, obviously not as big of a market as it used to be years ago. Juice concentrates. Florida still does a fair amount of export of juice concentrates, but since we don't do as much oranges in the state anymore, we now need to import as our population goes up. Apple juice concentrates, fertilizers that are going all over the world, salts, both on the water softener and pool salt systems. And then it's an array of container products, and our biggest growth is a new container terminal with 2 container cranes, because most of the world has gone to containerization. Now, cruise is still 80% of our revenue model, so we do about $56 million a year in cruise revenue. So you never take your eye off of what is your focus business and your bread and butter, if you would. But what we're doing is diversifying and saying we think that we can do better to serve our community, to serve Central Florida, serve Southeast United States. So we want to preserve and grow that core business, but then start to add more cargo, which can create these distribution centers and jobs. We project in the next 5 years that the port and the port-related businesses will grow 5,000 jobs in the East Central Florida area.
That's wonderful.
About 10 to 15,000 in the next 10 years, so very strong models.
I was reading that you have 4 project areas under current or planned investments. The first one being the channel widening project.
Correct.
Can you talk a little bit about that and then relate it back to some of these lines of business and what
Sure.
that means?
Yeah, it's we are doing a channel widening and deepening. So the widening is all about the cruise market. Cruise ships have gotten bigger, and because they're longer and they have to fight the wind quite a bit. A cruise ship is about 200 feet out of the water and about 27 feet in the water. So the wind effect on a cruise ship is huge. And it goes out of the harbor sort of cocked on an angle. It's called crabbing. Well, the longer the ship is, now if it turns a couple degrees in angle, it's now much wider. A 156-foot beam turns into 350 feet wide as it goes out on an angle. So that widening is all about margins of safety, accommodating the larger cruise ships that are in the market. You know, and again, that's economies of scale. One captain, one crew, one chief engineer, one head chef, more passengers. It's an economical way. I think I'm paying about half what I pay for a cruise today than what my wife and I used to pay 20 years ago. So there's a lot of value that comes into cruising by the fact that it's a larger ship, more options, more choices. We're people that want to be satisfied and have everything, not just a few things. Maybe a little ADHD in society today, you know, want to do something different every hour. So the cruise lines have heard that, and they want to provide everything that people want to have as an option on those cruise ships. And so for our ports, it's a burden in one way, but it's an opportunity in the other. So we're building bigger terminals. Our original terminal, we just tore one of them down, was 25,000 square feet. Our new terminal is 185,000 square feet.
That's
so the world has changed.
Difference, yes.
Yeah, the original ships were 600 passengers. These new ships could go up to 6,000 passengers. So 10 times the volume of passengers.
Now, you said that dredging, I believe you're dredging to 46 feet?
46 feet, and that's about cargo. So
what will
the
that do
deep
in
draft, what allows for us in Central Florida, a lot of our oil is imported. We have no refineries in Florida. We have no natural oil, so it's all imported. So again, the economies of scale come into play. A lot of our oil comes from Southeast Asia. That's where the newest, most modern refineries are. So it comes through the Panama Canal or the Suez Canal and then comes into Florida by ship. Price per barrel is traded on the commodity market. Transportation is the variable. If you can have a larger oil tanker, which would be deeper in draft, sinking further down into the water, then you can have less transportation costs per barrel. Our gas pumps then don't need to be as expensive when we go to the gas pump and gas up our car, or oil for other industrial purposes.
It's amazing
So,
how this all ties together.
Yeah, it's all
throughout
economy
the
of
state
scales.
and
That
the
lime
transportation.
rock, if they can bring in, 400,000 tons versus 300,000 tons, cost of rock, cost of building a road, cost of building a house comes down. So those deep draft vessels on the cargo side need to be accommodated, or they have to go in this case, maybe Miami, because they'll be 50 feet, but then that product needs to be transported 4 hours away, so it raises the trucking cost. And
Now,
so the closer we can get product to where its end source is, total cost of transportation comes
And
down.
that is one of your projects with the new berth, the cargo berth
Correct.
construction.
That's correct. That's correct. We have 2 new cargo berths. We just got delivery on what we call the twins. It's 2 new container cranes. Some of the folks at the port joke and say we need to call one like Sandhill Crane and another species
that'd be
because of our
great.
environmental side. But it's a new opportunity to be able to move product efficiently. Everything in today's world is about efficiency. So the old way of unloading a ship was manpower and davits and move product slowly, barrel by barrel. Now a 40 or 53-foot container comes in. We'll have the capacity to move 40 of those an hour times 2 cranes. That ship gets unloaded with 80 container movements per hour. Our harbor is only a half hour in from the shipping channel, so 30 minutes from the shipping channel into the port, unload hundreds of containers in an 8-hour shift. Ship gets back to sea. Product is now shipped from Port Canaveral instead of Georgia or Philadelphia or South Carolina. Trucking cost gets reduced from $2,000 down to $300. So those savings just multiply through, and you take a company like Rooms to Go that brings in hundreds of thousands of containers, Walt Disney Company, hundreds of thousands, Walmart, Target, the names go on. Those products, 80% of them come by sea. So if they come in closer, people save money.
And it's great potential for the port
It
and all
is.
that you're describing. You have another project with the Welcome Center, and this
Yes.
is really a unique concept. What are you doing and what are you trying to accomplish with that?
Well, for a lot of our passengers, we now are seeing 4 million passenger movements. So it's about 2 million people coming through the port in the course of a year. And so they may fly into Orlando Airport, jump on a bus, come to the port. We see 168 port-to-call ships, so people that are getting on a ship in Baltimore, New York, coming down, and they have a few hours. So what we wanted to do is to create an experience. And it's not meant to be the whole day event, but it's about a 2-hour experience to say who we are as people.
Thank you. It's a wonderful project that you've got going in all aspects for us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
That's all the time we have for our show today. Please visit wucftv.org/metro for interactive features, special content, and much more. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, I'm Diane Trees.